Hi gang, it's time for our weekly video for Cookies on the Lower Shelf. It's a rainy Thursday as I tape this, and a great day to stay indoors and work on your homework, right? I know not everybody can do that, but I hope your homework's going well. Just keep plugging away, get as much done as you can, and we're looking forward to being together on Sunday to discuss all of this further as we continue. Just a couple of quick things I want to mention to you. On page 54 of my book, under One Step Further, it talks about the captain of the bodyguard, Potiphar, right? And he's a main character of all that we talk about this week, along with Joseph. And it says here, take a little time this week to list everything that you learn about the captain of the bodyguard in Genesis. And so I have a list, and you can write this down. Maybe you've already done it, but I thought maybe this is something you want to add to your notes. First off, we know that Potiphar is an Egyptian officer of Pharaoh. And I know for me, sometimes when we talk about Joseph, we talk about Potiphar, we forget that it is in Egypt, and Pharaoh is connected. Also, we know that Potiphar bought Joseph as a slave. And of course, we know that whole story with his brothers putting them in slavery and so forth. He trusted Joseph, and because of that, he trusted him with all that he had. In fact, he said to Potiphar's wife when she came after him, Joseph said, "Your husband has put me in charge of everything except for you." And of course, he fled the scene at that point. Potiphar decided not to kill Joseph after the accusations by his wife. And finally, eventually he trusted Joseph again to put him in charge of the jail while he was a prisoner. And so Potiphar, kind of an interesting character, and plays a role, obviously, in what happened to Joseph. Speaking of that, on the previous page, on page 53, under an FYI box, it talks about God's time. Now, if you've been a believer very long, you know that God's timing is maybe different than our timing, right? I like to say that God is an on-time God, but I also said we like that he'd be a little early sometimes, right? So on this page, it says the only time that we see Joseph trying to change his situation is when the cupbearer is getting out of prison. He says, look, only keep me in mind when it goes well for you. And when you get a chance, he said, do me a kindness and mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this house. Now, we're told that when he was restored to his position on Pharaoh's staff, the cupbearer forgot what Joseph asked him. But in God's time, though, and apart from the lobbying by Joseph, the cupbearer brought word to Pharaoh of the Hebrew slave who knew how to interpret dreams. Remember, that's how the whole thing with the cupbearer and everything got started. And so, as it turned out, God's timing was different than Joseph's timing. And it's also the case with us many, many times. I mean, I would say it's more of a rarity to see that God's timing and our timing line up perfectly. But the truth is, if we can learn to trust God, and I believe Joseph did, if we can learn to trust God, then we can know that even when we're going through difficult times, even when we're struggling with issues, and even when we might be saying, God, where are you? God is there. God has a plan, and he has his timing. The more we trust God, the more that we can know him, and the more that we can trust in his timing, no matter what you're going through. Well, I hope that's helpful for you. I know it's helpful for me to remember that God's timing is perfect. Well, I hope that you'll take the time this week to do as much as you can on your homework. We'll have our discussion time on Sunday. I look forward to it. God bless.